I am doing something that I haven't done in years. I'm actually going to the 99-cent store, and I was trying to figure out the last time I've been there, and I want to say it's been almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half. I know it's been since way before we moved, and we moved a year ago, but I want to see kind of what they have in stock, what the prices kind of are. If you're not familiar with the 99-cent store, it's like 99 cents and above. It's not like the Dollar Tree where everything's the same price, but sometimes they have some really great deals. I remember back when I used to shop there often, sometimes I get like a big thing of protein for like $3. I remember talking about it on here, and a lot of you who are in the Vegas area went and got the same like Vega. It was like a Vega cafe mocha, like plant-based protein. It was really good. But anyways, I'm heading to the 99-cent store, and I have a game plan, I guess. I'm gonna see how much food I can get for $10, if I can eat for 3 days for $10. We'll see. Well, I'm shocked. I shared some clips of me shopping like some items in the store, and that 5-pound bag of grits, this one, rang up for 99 cents. So that was a shocker because it said $2.49. And I even said to the lady, how the marker said $2.49? She's like, some things are just in the wrong spot. So my budget is even smaller. I know that is something hard to replicate for a lot of people, but the reason I do these types of videos is to hopefully inspire, motivate, and maybe the right person who's really in need of food right now clicks on my video and sees this, and then I can say, hey, I need you to call 211 if you're in the US and find food for you and your family. It is a wonderful resource because you can call them and say, hey, I am in need of food, and they'll be able to connect you with your nearest food bank. And maybe if you're in a community like mine and you cannot get to the food bank, they can deliver for you. So call 211 if you are in need of food, or maybe this will motivate you, inspire you. I do these types of videos because it does help me in my own food budget, but also anytime I can save a lot of money like this and I put out a video like this, I like to donate to my own food pantry. So it's kind of a win-win-win if you think of it that way. But let's go home and see what I can make with my groceries, and then I'll share with you my total budget because it's way less than $10 now. Here are the first 2 items that I snagged from the 99-cent store that I'm going to make into a mock meatloaf. I've done this before. I really like it. We will need some additional seasonings. You'll have to add that into your budget, but a 1-pound bag of chickpeas, garbanzo beans, $1.29, and a 1-pound bag of long grain white rice for $1. And this is gonna make a lot of food. I am going to make these in the Instant Pot. If you don't have an Instant Pot, or a pressure cooker, I should say, you could do stovetop method or crock pot method, or you can just buy canned beans, completely up to you. This is just the method that I'm using because it works for me. The first thing that I need to do is rinse my beans. Okay, now that my beans are in my pressure cooker, I do them for 32 minutes with about 4.5 cups of water. Turns out great every single time. Whatever beans I don't use, I can always freeze, but this I'm going to guesstimate makes 2 large meatloaves, which is a lot of food for 7 days. I will just make 1 today and then I'll make 1 later in the week. I also want to rinse my rice, and I always say this, I have dishes in the sink because humans live here. This is not a stage set. This is my house. This is the food I eat. So there's dishes in my sink. Let's get this rice cooking. I'm going to do this stovetop method because it's super easy. It's a 1-to-2 ratio, 1 cup of rice, rinsed or not rinsed. If you don't want to rinse your rice, cool, don't. It's starchier that way. You also add a little bit of sugar in it if you want it to be a little bit sticky. 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. This is so easy to do. All you're going to do is put your burner on high. You're gonna let this come to a boil. Once it starts boiling, you're gonna turn it down to low, put the lid on it, and set a timer for 12 minutes, and it'll be perfect. So after the 12 minutes, you're gonna take it off the heat and let it sit. Don't touch it for 5 minutes. It's gonna be super fluffy and just chef's kiss perfection. You can see my rice is starting to boil. It's not quite where I want it yet. Give it like another 45 seconds and it will be perfect. I'll turn the heat down to low, put a lid on it, set my timer for 12 minutes, on to the next step. Okay, here's my rice. It is all finished. There's a little water left in there. That's pretty normal. Go ahead and turn it all the way off. And then I like to pull it to the back burner. You don't have to, I guess, but it's just what I like to do. Leave the lid on it, don't touch it. Leave it for at least 5 minutes, and then come back and fluff it with a fork. And it's perfect every single time. You can't really see in there. Yeah, you can. It's perfect. Just let her sit. She's perfecting herself. My pressure cooker has about 3 minutes left. I'll let it release for about 5 minutes, but I went ahead and add my rice to a bowl, just kind of let it cool down a little bit so I can make my meatloaf. I also went ahead and cooked up the rest of my rice and just put it in my refrigerator. So I have a lot of rice. I have about 3 times this amount for the entire week. I think that's a lot. It's about 5.5 cups. Now, I say this all the time in my budget cooking, you don't have to use seasonings, but also if you're like really hard up, ask a neighbor or even go to Chick-fil-A and get seasonings. They don't care. So I am adding some stone ground mustard, about 3 tablespoons, onion powder, garlic salt, chili powder, paprika. Since I did the garlic salt, I won't do a regular salt, but I'm just gonna add that and get these beans in there. I'm gonna make a topping for this meatloaf. Again, if you don't have these ingredients, don't have room in your budget for them, that's okay. I have all this stuff on hand because these are things I don't put in my budget every single week. Splash of apple cider vinegar, touch of salt. You can make more or less of this depending on what you have on hand, but I'm really not kidding when I tell you, you can just like go to Chick-fil-A and get a couple packets of mustard and ketchup. They would never care, honestly. And I've had people tell me that they do that in my videos before. So if you need some seasonings, there you go. Okay, the beans are done. By the way, if you are new to my channel, these are my absolute favorite bean. They are so creamy and they turn out perfect every time. And what's extra, I'll just pop in my fridge, and if I don't eat them all this week, because this is a lot of beans, I will just put them in my freezer and then pull them out as I need them. So to my rice, I'm gonna add about a cup of beans. And then about a quarter cup of that aquafaba, which is the cooking liquid. It'll give a nice creaminess to the meatloaf. And then just go in with a big fork and smash it all up, combine it, and then put it in a pan and bake it. You can also use a food processor for this, but I like to do everything like one bowl, and I like the arm workout. Okay, she's all smashed, and in just a bread baking dish or meatloaf pan, I don't know. It's a bread pan. She smashed up. I like to leave a little bit of the chunks in there because I feel like it gives good texture. Fun fact, if you throw this like in a food processor and like roll it into little balls and then coat it in breadcrumbs, you can, or even cornmeal, it makes really good chicken nuggets. So keep that in mind. It's a great recipe if you have kids, or if you're like me and you are an adult who likes chicken nuggets. So let's put the sauce on this, and then I will bake it at 350 for about 20 minutes. You could use more or less sauce, just depending on what you like. I bet based on the grits I purchased, you wouldn't have guessed that's what we're having for breakfast this week. So I'm gonna do a really simple, easy grit. If you have anything on hand, sugar, brown sugar, raisins, chocolate chips, anything in your pantry you can add to this. I'm going to make like a strawberry compote, if you will, a jam. If you have chia seeds, flaxseed, a little bit of cornstarch, you can thicken it up. I'm literally just gonna use water and cook it down. Since I'm plant-based, I'm really simple. I just have a small little pan here, and to that I'm going to add a cup of water, and I'm gonna bring that to a boil. I'm currently making my rice for my lunch, and I'm making my strawberry jam / compote for my breakfast, and I'm also going to get some grits going. I have 4 burners, let's use them all. Just gonna put this pan on the back burner so it can kind of be on my simmer burner. And to that I'll add 6 cups of water. And then this pot I'll also bring to a boil and then stir in the grits. Here's what my strawberries are looking like. I went ahead and just smashed them down with a fork and brought them to a boil. All I'm going to do is put the lid on these, turn the heat all the way off, and let this sit until it mostly cools. Once it cools, I'm going to put it in a glass jar, just a recycled one, and pop it in my refrigerator. Little steam facial for you. Since my rice and my strawberries are done, I'm gonna pull this forward. It was almost to a boil. It's just gonna make it a lot easier when I put the grits in and I want to whisk them. One thing that's such a big help, and something I found when I was really extreme budgeting when we were on our debt-free journey, is preparing your food by hand saves you so much money. So much. finding great prices, preparing it yourself, preparing it ahead of time so you have stuff ready to go to eat so you're not tempted to roll through the drive-thru. This is time consuming, but the amount of money you save is incredible. My water is perfection. So add my grits. A cup and a half of grits to 6 cups of water. It seems like a lot, but these things blow up so quickly. So you're gonna turn your heat to medium. I like to whisk it for a little bit. It makes it really creamy. I like savory grits. I like sweet grits. I feel like they have a nice profile where like you can do both as long as you like to experiment. So you just let this sit, I would say on medium for about 5 minutes. Obviously they're 5-minute grits, but just be careful so they don't boil over. Okay, these are all finished. They are looking so good. Some of these I'm reserving for tonight and tomorrow night's dinner, and then some I'm just gonna have right now. Okay, so here is breakfast for the week. I have so many grits that I could eat like probably 4 times this every single day. But I have grits and then I have my compote. And today I'm actually not gonna have the compote because I want this to sit for 24 hours. If I would have made it ahead of time, then I would have just put it on here. But this is gonna turn into a jam and then it's gonna go on the grits. And if you haven't had sweet grits before, I personally love them. You could definitely do savory too. Grab a seasoning, stick it on there, whatever you like. This is what I like, so this is what I'm having. As for the other grits, I'm going to put them in a Tupperware, get them cooled off, and then put them in the fridge. You can even pop them in the freezer for this next step, but I'm just gonna keep mine in the fridge. Okay, I got way too excited and I do want to add seasoning to this. So I'm just gonna grab some onion powder. I'm gonna heavily dose it and I'll add some to this too. Again, it got a little too excited. Some salt. I'll heavily salt them because they're grits. They don't really have any flavor. Paprika, and I have a tiny little bit of parsley left. We're gonna throw that in too. You don't have to season them. You can do whatever you want, but this is gonna just really amp up the flavor for dinner. I grabbed another dish because you wanna keep this recipe in a shallow dish. And I just use Tupperware. Doesn't matter if you have glass or Tupperware, whatever. You can even just put it in a bowl, but you want it to fully cool. And the starches are gonna kind of make almost like a mashed potato. Like I said, I've put this recipe in the freezer before and it's been really good too. Like then you can get to it quicker, but definitely overnight, about 12 hours is the best. So I will let these fully cool on my counter. As you can see, they already kind of get like that gelatinous, like starchiness. I'll let these fully cool. I'll cover them, pop them in the refrigerator at least overnight. I like to do it in the morning and then take them out for dinner the following night. But if you give it at least 12 hours, which today we'll have about 12 hours, it'll be perfect. So it's dinner time, day one. I really love putting these types of meal plans together. And yes, if you're wondering, I got a haircut. I shot for this last week, knowing that this is gonna be part of my meal plan for this week. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, I always feel like I need to over-explain myself. People probably don't care, but I like doing these types of meal plans. I kind of shared with you a little bit at the beginning that like for me, it's a nice way that I can give back. If I'm saving money, I can give back to my community so much more. We always donate every single month to our local food pantry. But if we're being completely honest, like who doesn't love saving money and eating for cheap? Yes, I know there could be more fruits and veggies in this meal plan, but again, I'm just hoping that someone clicks on this video and it helps them out in some way that, you know, I may never know about, but it'll help someone out. So like I said, it's dinner time, and for some reason, I was thinking this morning that I was eating for 7 days for $6. I'm really only eating for 3, but I have a lot of starch left over. I really don't have that much like compote. If you think about it, like if you put it in the refrigerator, divide those strawberries by 3, that's like a really good amount. Divide it by 7, you're gonna get like a tablespoon. I put a little bit on them this morning, even though it was warm, but I prefer it when it's cold. A little bit of maple syrup would also be really good on the grits. I feel like grits remind me of cream of wheat, so that's why I like them sweet. Anyways, I'm gonna make dinner. I guess I already have basically 2 dinners done since this morning I went ahead and refrigerated 2 containers of grits. I have some veggies to go along with them. No, I didn't have veggies for my lunch today, but I had about half of that meatloaf, and I did estimate that I could probably make 3 meatloafs with, I keep calling it meatloaf. I should call it bean loaf, rice loaf, whatever. It's like a mock. It is what it is. If you're plant-based, you understand. If not, then you're like, why does she keep saying that? It's like, I have a friend, I call you a friend, Amy, who always comments or tells me on Instagram, like, I get so tired of like explaining myself or saying this is vegan cheese or vegan meat or etc. So I hear you, girl. But anyways, I have no vegetables at lunch. That's okay. I'm a high starch eater. I think one of my goals for the new year is actually going to be to eat a lot more greens, because being plant-based, I eat like 70 to 80% starch, but I know I should be eating more greens. So I think that's gonna be a goal for mine for the new year. Anyways, let's go make dinner and let's stop chatting. You guys are gonna love dinner. So if you have grits at your house, you're gonna love making these. If not, go buy yourself some grits, like literally right now, because these are so good. Let's hope I give this enough time and it's set. Moment of truth. Yes. See how it's like firm? I don't know how else to explain it other than like it's a jelly or like a gelatinous. Is that the right word? It's completely set. Perfect. Okay. So I have it on a cutting board because we're gonna dice this into small little chunks. I have my oven going. I set it to 425. You could definitely do this in the air fryer if you want to, but I like try to use different methods when I cook and try to think like what's the best option, not only for me, but for you guys. And I understand that the pressure cooker earlier probably wasn't the best option for many people, but I don't know who has what. And so using different options, and I'll be honest with you, I'm like not into my air fryer. If you guys couldn't tell since moving, if you followed me for a while, not into it. So we have these nice little bite-sized chunks. Oh my gosh, my mouth is like drooling thinking about what we're about to make. I just cut it into a bunch of chunks, and I'm gonna get a baking dish out, and it's okay if they fall apart. I'm like trying to pull them apart with my fingers, but you should definitely just make sure the knife separates them nicely. Okay. I'll get a baking dish out and we'll put these on a baking dish. I also picked these vegetables up for, I think they were $1.29. It's an Italian mix: cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, beans, zucchini, red pepper. And I was gonna divide this by 3, and you can steam them in the microwave if you want to. I'm just gonna put about 1/3 of this bag right there and roast it with my fries. Yes, these are indeed grit fries, and they get so good and so crunchy on the outside, and then the inside is nice and creamy. Really, really good. Once my oven is all set, I'm gonna pop these inside 425 for about 30 minutes or until they're nice and crunchy on the outside. Yes, you can do roasted veggies in the oven. I just throw them in like this, put some salt on them when they come out. You can leave them in as long as you want. Because they are already like obviously frozen, they have water on them, and they get really nice and crispy if you leave them in for a long time. It's awesome. dinner is all ready. I am so excited. So you probably can't tell by looking at this, but it is super crunchy on the outside and it's really soft on the inside. It's gonna be really delicious. And yeah, the seasoning probably could have been mixed in there a little bit better, but I kind of like how they look. They just look kind of ombre, I guess. Shall we try one? Let's do it from this really awful angle. Okay. I have not always been plant-based. I've only been plant-based for about 3 years. But when I was editing this, they kind of reminded me of musubi, right? Like, anyways, just the shape of them. You need to make these ASAP. They are so good. And as always, thank you so much for being here, for watching today's video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Thumbs up the video and subscribe. And of course you can go follow me on Instagram too for like more like daily life content, less food, more life. If you want to get to know me better, I'll see you over on Instagram. If not, I'll see you in another video very soon. Bye-bye.